this is my cabin.
Your office?
Yes. We refer to them as cabins for the naval purposes.
講到皇家海軍就一定會提到 John Hawkins， 而 HMS Hawkins 嘅舊徽章清楚畫咗一個被綁住嘅奴隸。即使唔了解歷史，都大概估到背後嘅故事。Hawkins 係英國參與跨大西洋奴隸貿易嘅人物之一。
In 2018, we felt as a unit it was no longer something that we could take public. Because of it being a bound slave, it didn't meet the society's vision. So what we did, we had a long process to get it changed. So we came up with we didn't want to lose the link with HMS, with Hawkins himself. So what we decided was we'd keep the lion, which is on his family crest. The 3 lozenges at the top are part of the Stockport coat of arms. It just allows us to now go out in the public without having any issues with, because the original one was a bound slave. But as we know, it's no longer politically correct to have that sort of imagery out in the public domain.
因為超前部署換咗 Crest， 當2020年 BLM 爆發嘅時候 ，Sea Cadet 完美避過公關危機。Philip 承認英國曾經參與奴隸制度，不過認為歷史已經過去，教育更加重要。特別係皇家海軍後嚟喺全球廢除奴隸貿易上面扮演咗關鍵角色。
The Royal Navy had ships that patrolled the Atlantic and intercepted ships, slave ships, and got the slaves off the ships and returned them back to their country of origin. So we had quite a big impact on abolishing slavery around the world. We were slave traders back in the day, that's history. But we rectified that by abolishing it. If we hadn't got involved and done the abolishing and the patrols, the naval patrols to stop that, who knows, we might still have slavery going on today.
同時，一啲歷史建築、學院、城市發展確實同昔日有份參與跨大西洋奴隸貿易嘅人物有關。點樣處理呢一啲象徵，例如係雕像，仍然係社會爭議點。
We need to sort of draw a line and say, yes, that was an unpleasant part of history, but it was history. A lot of the slave traders and the people that were involved in slave trade in the UK brought a lot of infrastructure to the UK, like universities and historical buildings that are still there today. So yes, that's why there's statues of them. But they contributed to society with their wealth and built on that, and cities and towns were built on money that was from these wealthy people.
There's no point to take down the statue, right?
Exactly. And it's like the empire. People go on about the British Empire and how we took over countries and things. But we did a lot of good during that period of time. We brought in infrastructures and established more like better roads, similar to how the Romans did during the Roman invasions. They brought in underfloor heating and roads and things like that.
The eyes to the right, 330. The nose to the left, 275. The eyes have it, and look!
Whereas we've brought in political systems that are still in place. Ours is one of the most used political system in the whole world. And part of that was the Magna Carta that started that. So there's the history of the UK.
呢度岔開講兩句先。1215年簽署嘅 Magna Carta 係 Life in the UK 會考嘅題目，背景係英格蘭王 King John 同叛變嘅貴族達成和平協議。核心思想就係國王並非凌駕於法律之上，唔可以濫收稅，唔可以任意扣押財產或者係拘捕，係對於皇權嘅重要制衡。雖然當時嘅主要內容係保障貴族權益， 不過呢個原則對於後世法律同民主制度有深遠影響，部分條文時至今日仍然行之有效。
Yes, we had an empire, like most European countries had empires, but everyone seems to focus on the British Empire as opposed to the Spanish Empire or the Dutch Empire or, there's lots of countries that had empires, but people tend to forget they had empires and just concentrate on the UK and make us feel bad that we had that part of history. I think it's because our traditions still go back that far. So we have a monarchy that goes back all them centuries ago. We're still quite prominent on the world stage. So we have a high profile and we're involved in things. We were one of the first to lead into the First and Second World Wars. And the other European countries joined us. It's a legacy that has been brought, and some of it's good, some of it's bad, but it's all about history and what's been, and picking out the good parts of it.
英國社會而家面對更深層嘅矛盾，點樣同時喺面對歷史又推動現代多元文化呢？
I think the problem is people, because we're so multicultural now, have an embarrassment of what we were actually involved with as a country all them years ago. So rather than accepting it and sort of making the future better for people and the multicultural society, we're constantly being made to apologise. And that then instills resentment and divisiveness.
What do you make of the different flags dispute? Of course, Union Jack and England flag.
I understand why people took to the streets and put Union flags and St George's flags up on lampposts around the country. I think the majority, even though they were labelled by the press as being far right, the majority weren't. It was just the fact that we'd been, as spoke about before, been made to apologise for that many things that we had no control over, and told we can't do this, and similar to like where society, organisations such as schools and universities and things like that say we can't celebrate our own festivals because it might offend. And I think it got to the point, people of British society get to a point where they'll put up with so much and then eventually they turn and snap. And I think it got to that point where they just said, we've had enough now, it's time we need to stand up and fight. And that's been the case throughout history. They'll sit on the sidelines for a long period of time. The Second World War, they saw what was happening in Europe with Hitler. And then it got to the point with Poland, and it was just, no, we've had enough now. We've got to do something. And that's when they went and did the start of the Second World War. And that's generally how the British public are. They will sit back and take so much, and then they get to a point where they think, no, it's not fair, we've had enough now. We're losing our identity, our culture, our history, and we need to protect it.
Yes, we have to fight for this, to strike a balance.
Yeah, and I think it proved that with the World War II veteran that was on television recently before the remembrance, and he actually said the Second World War and the loss of life wasn't worth it when he looks at how the country is now. And that's sad that somebody from that generation feels that it wasn't worth it. and you know we've got to think, well, why have we ended up like that? And sometimes it's because we're just part of a society that wants to run down people and tell everyone that they're wrong and they're right, and not listen and not be part of a joint society. They're always trying to divide it, and anyone that speaks contrary to them is deemed far right or racist, or just going out to the extreme, not depicting what the normal person on the street is thinking. So it builds this culture of shame and which then creates this rot of division and hatred and anger, and then that's when people can then come in and take advantage of that, because it's similar to what could have happened during the time when the flags were being raised as part of the Union Jack and the English flag. Because they were being told they were wrong, it made them into a political void, because they didn't feel like they had any political connection with the general political parties. So you had the likes of Reform, which were more right-wing, not far right, but right-wing in their views, and you had the far right groups capturing that and giving them something
And hijack it.
Yeah, exactly, and making it so they had that belonging, even though it wasn't the belonging that they wanted. It was the only part that was actually appealing to their current fears. If you actually look at the videos, footage of people that people put on over the times of the protests, there were multinational people coming together on these parades with the Union flags and the English flags. The protest wasn't about migration, it was about people coming over on boats and not going through the proper process, which was overwhelming our system. It was overwhelming our NHS, it's overwhelming our currency of the benefit systems. So it was that fear that we're getting to the point now, we're being overwhelmed. We're only an island, we can't build an extension to house everybody. Yeah, limited resources, limited infrastructure, and the fact that people perceive the people coming over on boats getting preferential treatment over our own people that are living on the streets, living in poverty. So whether that's right or wrong, it's a perception, and it's these perceptions that instill fear and resentment. So it's about having an honest conversation about these things and putting everything out there for people to actually fully understand, rather than just having factions from different arguments coming together with their own points of view.
今次我哋去到 Stockport Sea Cadet， 由 Philip 帶我哋參觀呢一艘模擬軍艦，感受一下海事訓練嘅環境同埋氣氛，亦都好多謝佢分享對英國時事同埋社會議題嘅個人睇法，俾我哋由第二個角度去理解同埋探討英國人點樣睇英國事。今集 Vlog咪嚟到呢度，下集再見，拜拜。